Hi, my name is Sofia Santamaria. I come from Bogota, Colombia, and I am 20 years old. I live in Vienna, Austria. I moved here when I was 17 to study music and to finish my IB. I completely changed paths of whatever I was expecting or even attempting to focus on in my career. I was always an overachiever throughout middle school, high school, always overly focused on my grades, on excelling in the academics, in sports, in music, art, drama, design, volunteering, whatever you could imagine, I was there. And then that led me, of course, to great opportunities to travel with my academics, with Model of United Nations, with music for summer camps, with Juilliard, with, I don't know, competition scholarships, UWC. I ended up moving to Vienna with a scholarship to study at an international school to finish my IB. And then when I moved here, it all changed. Sorry for the noise. My dog really can't seem to stay still. But I started focusing on different things. Let's say my world really broadened up, although I had studied at an international school my whole life and gained a lot of perspective, of course, through international classmates and through international teachers, of course. It really was a game changer to move to a boarding school 10,000 kilometers away from my whole family in the middle of the pandemic. And instead of having this hyper focus over, grades or, mostly grades or academic excellence itself, I really wanted to have a higher impact rather on the community around me and on forging this network of people who would later on in life add value to my development as an individual. So I had the opportunity to study under great teachers, to share with other very open-minded students, and started working. That was another game changer in my life. When I started working at an international company, I actually started working in human resources. I'm still, to this day, working in this field. And it's not as you would think for people who like people. You really have to work sometimes with people you are not the most friendly with. But this really teaches you resilience. It teaches you techniques of how and communication styles in order to be as effective as possible, pragmatic also. And it was a great entrance into the corporate life in a way that they were always very supportive into my development as a professional and as a person in general. And it really made me feel like I had a team to rely on while I was growing up here in Vienna. And I was gonna take a gap year, but then I kind of rushed it. And I was like, no, this is not for me, taking the gap year. I'm not too much into traveling. I was like, what am I supposed to do? I'm just working. I tried learning German, but it was a bit too overwhelming. So I was like, this is not for me. This is not my place. Got really frustrated, but kept working, kept building, let's say. And then I decided to start studying data science. That was a point where I was, convinced that I was going to pursue something within the corporate environment rather than business functions and so on. Nevertheless, I wanted something that could enable me maybe later on to switch into the sciences. So with a data science degree, you could also then, combine it with another degree with bio or chem and then work on the coding or work in biotech or something like this. And I thought that was the plan. That was the way I wanted to go. I actually wanted to study biochemistry. I applied for biochemistry everywhere. I passed, but then I was really not sure because I always had creativity and music and arts in my background, and in my heart it just didn't sit right with me to go into biochem. But I was like, okay, let's just give it a year. Maybe I'll figure out that it is my thing. You know, almost forcing myself to, it is my thing. And well, I didn't even take the gap year. I felt too rushed by myself. Really not my parents, not my job. No one was requiring this. I just was rushing myself. Don't know why. I think it's personality trait. And so I did 3 semesters of data science, passed all my classes, kept working. A bit of a funny thing because I was working for projects in human resources and I was working on data science and it was just not too overlapping. Then I decided to give music a chance. So I decided to start at a conservatory for solo singing and music theory here in Austria, and it was just too much. Having 2 full-time degrees plus a full-time job, I was literally like running. If I was not attending a class, I was not attending a meeting. Just, it was too much. And then I started hating it all. I said like, no, data science is not my thing. No, music, it's not my thing. Just let's trash everything. So I stopped. Then I switched my role within my company into something a bit more broad, into a function that talked about governance and performance management. That's something I believe was more related into data analysis, for instance, and it connected a bit more into what I was actually studying. So I for sure pursued this. I stopped music and I decided then to switch my degree into economics and management. A lot of the basis from data science would overlap as well with economics, at least from the first year. And this enabled me also to continue my education instead of restarting everything. And well, I switched and I started feeling like I was just living someone else's life. Like, yeah, I'm 19 years old, I have a job, I am finishing my degree, I am getting my own apartment, and it's just almost going smoothly, but in the back of my mind, I felt like I was living someone else's life, someone else's dream even. Like, I didn't feel I was living my own life or making my own decisions, although there were no pressures, it was a weird feeling. But there was always this guilt inside of me that would make me reflect upon all of these choices, because at the end of the day, I was studying something for a career that I didn't even want. It just like fell in place. But although it was something that fell in place and was easy, it doesn't mean that it would fulfill me. And until I realized this, it's that I decided to put stop to it. And although I was almost done, or, I had advanced quite a bit with my degree, I thought to myself, like, I cannot keep studying something that it's, takes more energy for me to actually sit down and study it, like forcing myself almost, than actually continuing my passion for long life learning. Like in school, I was always excelling because I loved learning, because I wanted to learn more, because I was super curious about all the topics and so on. But then in uni, it became like I'm forced to do it because I'm forced to have this and I'm forced to learn about it. And later on, I'll have a degree upon what? Something that I forced myself to do for a career that like was forced upon me. That's not right. Like, that's not true. So I put a stop to it. And that was actually fairly recent. I had a lot of personal changes at the end of last year, and I thought to myself that personally I had to take the wheel of my life and start making these choices that would benefit my personal development and my mental health, actually, that would be maybe more risky, but at the end of the day, actually the right things for my life. I decided that I was going to pursue my passion, and I actually discovered that maybe my passion was not solely music. I'm a singer. That's why I came to Vienna in the first place. And that it's not solely focused on singing. I love composing as well. I love writing. I love acting and also anything that has to do with body movement, with sports, with dancing, facial expressions, content creation actually. And this creative side has always been there within my school career, within work. I always loved designing the presentations and thinking about development paths for the employees and so on and so forth. And then I realized I love creating art. I admire the beauty of the most minimalistic moments in life, and that is something that not everyone has, and that is actually the life and the path that I want to follow. And although there is not the finite answer for what I'm gonna study, what I want to study, but there is the what. I was always so worried, and then I think that when you choose your career or your, let's say, your degree, it's the medium for which you will achieve the end. So you were studying business administration in order to, I know, go into marketing through a specialization, or you're studying finance because then you want to work at finance in a big bank, or you want to go to the stock exchange and blah blah blah. But I really want to study things that I'm passionate and I'm curious about. I don't want to study it because, okay, and specifically I want to become a writer, and specifically I want to become, I don't know, an artist, and specifically I want to become a singer. It's really limiting to think about it that way. I want to be able to create in general. I want to be able to create both within the corporate world and in the more artistic, more freely, let's say, the limited world. I want to create on internet. I want to create physically. I want to be able to connect with different people in different worlds. And sometimes the degree feels so limiting. But I am conscious that in order to create, I need to learn about past creators, past artists. But this is so mixed. And until now, I'm really looking into this more like fine arts degrees, and it looks so much more into what would I know, look forward to learning, where you can actually build upon flexible courses where you learn about art history and you learn how to do creative writing and you learn about English literature, for example, or neurology or psychology or philosophy. Like it feels like I'm still building that high school class range, but it feels like the right thing. It feels like it's very limiting to just choose one thing. I don't want to choose just one field and forever focus on that. Even starting off right now, I just started actually writing my first novel. I've written other pieces of literature, but are either much shorter, like poetry, or a libretto for an opera I wrote when I was 16, short stories. But I finally want to test out this creative writing branch. And in writing this novel, I really wanted to converge the different fields I am interested. So from the social sciences, the psychology, human behavior, philosophy, from the life sciences, neurology, and biology, chemistry, in the focuses of the brain, of course. And then the novel itself is really converging those feelings and what I feel like art is really about, which is expressing human complexity. And this human complexity, it really extends through so many different paths about our emotions, our behaviors, our tendencies, our thoughts, and narrated through this like conscious path of this thought flow in the first person of a person just like stuck in their minds, you know, and really going through more complex human experiences and emotions. It's something I'm really passionate about, not only learning, but then being able to challenge myself and put them into words or put them into a painting, you know? That's what artists do. And that feels right. It may not feel like an end purpose for many, or may not sound like it, but that somehow feels more right than anything I've ever created. anything that I've ever planned or thought through, it makes sense. So I hope you join me in this journey of creating and of learning in a more self-paced and a different way, you know. I am exploring, of course, this other degree paths. Nevertheless, I finally want to take the time to find out more, to be curious again, to inquire on my own. Books are the best allies for that. And also single courses, you know, where you want to learn more about this topic and really nerd out about it. It's not that I want to stop learning. I love learning. That's not the point. And it's funny because as a, let's say, top students, valedictorian, blah, 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 you would think, okay, no, for sure, that person is going to go, I don't know, study medicine, study engineering. And not really. Sometimes the rush and the expectations from others then transfer into your own expectations, and then you feel like, yeah, I have to study this, I have to rush, and I have to now work at, I know, NASA. And not really. I realized that this was putting so much strain into my mental health and into the career path I wanted to develop that really was not building my life, was building maybe someone else's life, and I want to live my own life. I don't want to borrow my life to someone else's dreams. There is one life. I believe that you should at least try to follow your own path. And even if it's not someone else's expectation, or it's not what the majority would expect you to do, it is what should feel right. I'll go for feelings. Not only a gut feeling, but it's really a love towards learning. It's really a love towards that specific subject or that specific output project. So I hope you join in this journey, that you follow a bit of the path. Please let me know if you have also felt this way, if you've been also this overachiever and then you suddenly feel like you were living someone else's life, or because of the expectations that people had on you, you decided to follow a path that no longer fits you, or that you feel that it's really not what you're supposed to be doing. Because I'm really curious to get to know more people that are also having the same feelings or the same thoughts. Because I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one. I'm pretty sure, because even picking my own degree, I would ask anyone at work or in my personal life, like, oh, why did you study what you studied? And they're all like, well, it was like, I don't know, a throw of dice. I'm like, okay. Some of us are braver and stick to it. Some of us will question it until we feel like we have found something that truly sits with us. So write down in the comments about this experience. And I'm curious to get to know you, and for you to get to know me, and also for me to get to know me through this experience. Also creating these videos and documenting this progress, I think, will be a way of not commemorating, but rather of tracking this progress. Like, am I actually moving somewhere? Am I actually going somewhere with this project? Or is it just running in circles and trying and trying and trying? Because that's also not the point. I want to move somewhere. I want to create something. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry for the rambling. I hope you got something out of this video. Maybe it's your signal to stop, start, whatever path in your life you're going through. Or maybe give it a change. And subscribe if you want to learn more. And give it a like if you are interested in hearing more about my story. Bye!